You don't need pie in the sky rates of return. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, what rate of return is reasonable to safely become wealthy? Get ready, because it's not about getting rich quick. It's being slow and methodical and safe. So put on your seatbelt. I'm going to take you on a ride that will give you insights into opportunities that probably you didn't know existed before. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been blessed in my career now of 48 years to help thousands of people prepare for long-term goals such as retirement. But it could also be goals for saving for college for their children, their grandchildren, working capital for business, money to have on hand for managing real estate. It could be emergency funds. Bar none, my favorite vehicle that helps people accumulate their money safely, tax-free, and then allows them to access the money tax-free, and they don't have to wait till they're 59 and a half or anything like that. But when they ultimately pass away, it blossoms and transfers income tax-free, is what I affectionately call the laser fund. Now, laser, L-A-S-E-R, is an acronym that I've used for years that stands for liquid assets, safely earning returns. Now, in this episode, I'm talking about earning predictable rates of return, and they don't have to be pie in the sky. That's not the secret to wealth accumulation. It's setting money aside consistently at nice conservative rates of return, tax-free. On this very channel, oftentimes I will address these key elements of prudent investing. And the number one key element of prudent investing is liquidity. A lot of people put it like third or fourth down the list. No, the ability to access your money when you need it is number one. Number two is safety. Safety of the institution where you have your money and safety of your principal. Whatever you set aside, you don't want to lose. And in any year you make money, you want that money you just made to become newly protected principal. A lot of advisors don't know how to do that. This episode talks about rate of return, which is third down the list. Everybody wants the highest return, right? But usually if you want high returns, you're going to incur what? High risk. We want the highest return at the lowest risk. Well, I have the perfect vehicle for you. And it's how to earn predictable rates of return that are tax-free. Because if you've ever done the math, if I could earn a 10% tax-free rate of return, that would be the equivalent of earning a 15% tax-deferred rate of return in an IRA or 401k. Because if I earn 15% and at the end of the day, sooner or later I have to pay tax on that, 33% between federal and state tax, which most people during retirement, they pay back a third to the government. You didn't net 15%, you netted 10. And then oftentimes with fees, you're only netting 9. You have your money in the market, and sometimes you earn 12%, but you're really only netting 8 after paying a third of it in tax. I would rather more conservatively, safely, earn a 10% tax-free return than have to earn 15 or 16% to net 10% after tax. Because if you're going after a 16% year after year average rate of return, you're taking unnecessary risks. So how can you earn 10% average returns tax-free? I'm going to share that next. So folks, many times people don't understand how to do simple math calculations using what is called the rule of 72. Now, if you know what it is, don't tune out. I want you to revisit this because there's some aspects of the rule of 72 people don't think about. The rule of 72 is generally used when people earn a certain interest rate and they divide that interest rate into the number 72. So let's say that you're earning 8%. 8 into 72 means your money will double every 9 years. So if you started out with $125,000, the $125,000 will double to $250,000 in what? 9 years if you're earning 8%. If you're earning 9%, it'll double in 8 years. If you're earning 10%, it doubles in 7.2 years. If you're earning 9.6%, it doubles in 7.5 years. So you take the interest rate and divide it into 72, and that tells you how fast your money will double. Well, did you know the reciprocal of that equation is also true? Sometimes people say, well, I bought a piece of real estate for $50,000 or $100,000 and I sold it later and doubled my money. I'm not impressed until I know what? How long did they hold on to that before they sold it for that gain? And did they leverage? Now, let's keep it simple. Leverage means, did you use other people's money, OPM, or did you use all your own money? So let's say you paid cash for it. So if they say, well, I held on to that property for 10 years and sold it and doubled my money, I'm not very impressed, because you take 10 years, divide that into 72, and that means the appreciation on the real estate was only 7.2%. It's not bad, but it's typical, okay? That does not impress me. Now, let's use it with inflation. Are you ready? If inflation averaged 5% and you retired at age 65 and one of you or your spouse lived to age 95, 30 years, what would you be able to live on if you could get by on $6,000 a month today? With inflation at 5%, how much would you need a month to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread 30 years from today? Now people go, huh? How can you do that? And I go, well, I thought you understood the rule of 72. 5% divided into the number 72 means the cost of living will double every 14.4 years. Let's just round it to 15 years. So you're going to need $12,000 a month to buy the same gallons of gas, loaves of bread, haircuts that you bought for $6,000 a month just 15 years earlier. You're going to need $24,000 a month in 30 years, double again, to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread. This is what causes a lot of people to outlive their money, because they're not earning a rate of return equal to or greater than the inflation rate. You need to link your returns to the things that inflate, or you're going backwards. You're rowing upstream at a rate of mile per hour of interest, and the current of inflation is coming down greater than that. Do you know inflation, real inflation, is double digit? As of the recording of this episode in 2021, the Consumer Price Index is what they measure every year, and actually every month, based upon a basket of goods and services. But clear back in the 1980s, they changed the apples to apples comparison because the government did not want to have to pay retirees Social Security increases equal to the true rate of inflation. So they changed the way they report inflation from apples to oranges comparisons. What this means is the government can compare filet mignon steak, the price of it last year, to hamburger this year if they choose. This is the change they made. So when they report that inflation is 4 or 5%, it's really like 10, 11, or 12%. You divide that into 72 and the cost of living doubles every 6 years. Just go to the gas pump. Just look at food. Just go to a drive-in. All of these things are going up in price far more than the Consumer Price Index says they are at 5 or 6%. That's why, because the CPI is calculated differently. So when we're talking about rate of return, you want to have safe rate of returns that are linked to the things that inflate, so you stay ahead of inflation. Now, when I say this, a lot of people go, how do you do that? I've always earned a rate of return that's at least 5.5% greater than the inflation rate at the time. Now, I don't know if I'll always be able to do that, but in the 1980s when inflation was over 10, I was earning 15.5 because I'm linking my returns to the things that inflate. I'm able to outpace inflation. It's amazing to me as a financial strategist how many financial planners do not understand how to do this for their clients. Why is this important? And how can you create safe, predictable rates of return that will outpace inflation? I'll give you a hint next. If this is intriguing you and you can think of somebody who ought to watch this episode, be sure and share this video with them. Post a comment, click like, but I would invite you to subscribe. It's free. Why? Because I post an in-depth answer to a financial question like this almost on a daily basis. So click the bell so you'll be notified every time I do. And then at the end of this episode, I want to gift you a copy of my most recent best-selling 300-page book called The Laser Fund, How to Diversify and Create the Foundation for a Tax-Free Retirement. Now, when I talk about diversification, I like to diversify into superior vehicles, not inferior ones. I don't want to have some of my money in a bank or credit union earning a pathetic 1% or less, when I can increase the safety and the rate of return by putting my money into the places where the bank puts some of your money to increase the liquidity, safety, and rate of return. So I like to diversify into my portfolio of laser funds. And I would recommend that at least 40 to 60% of your retirement assets be in laser funds before you actually retire, but you can do it after if you need to. Now, in a nutshell, my money inside of a laser fund accumulates tax-free. I can access it tax-free. You will learn and see examples where every $1 million that you save can generate 80, 90, 100,000 a year of tax-free income without depleting principal. You're able to earn rates of return equal to or greater than the inflation rate of the time. And I have averaged very conservatively 7.23% in the worst decade since the Great Depression. If I just sat there and didn't do anything but put it into a diversified portfolio and walked away for 12 years, the average return was 7.23% tax-free, when most Americans went 12 years with no gain at the end of the day. $1 million in the year 2000 came back barely to $1 million again by 2012. Many people using the laser fund had doubled or tripled their money tax-free. $1 million had grown to $2.5, $3 million. Now, you can tweak your rate of returns by rebalancing. So I moved my returns up to 10.07. I'm actually earning 11.17 and I'm netting 10. That 1% is not tax. It's the cost of the insurance that the IRS says has to be there in order to qualify to be tax-free. But it's really not a cost. It's money that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary income tax. But it's actually a benefit, because if I died, right now I'm 69, if I died in an accident, every $1 million I would have in my portfolio of laser funds would blossom to about $2.5 million and transfer tax-free to my wife, my kids, my grandkids, a church, a charity. And there's not an IRA or 401k around that will do that. And people always ask, well, how much does that cost? Well, nothing's free, but it didn't cost me anything. It's being paid for with a minuscule portion of money that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary tax. But these rates of return are not pie in the sky. Now, here's the beautiful thing. I diversify by using maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different indexing strategies. I put some on me, some on my wife. I put some with this company or this company. I use different linking index strategies. Why? Because you want to seize opportunities when you hook up with a specialist that knows what they're doing. For example, my 2 sons, who are co-authors with me on this book I'm going to gift you, in March of 2020, right during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the market lost 30%, they told their clients, link to a 1-year point-to-point with no cap. You'll learn what that means when you read this. What did it actually benefit them? Their accounts were credited 61.33% a year later in March of 2021. We had a client that had about $850,000 in March of 2020. 1 year later, he had $1,385,000. He made over $500,000, 61.33% tax-free using the laser fund. You want to seize those opportunities. Some people say, I thought you said you don't need pie in the sky rates of return. No, you don't need to, but that was like a no-brainer. This is where you can make sure your cash will be there and you will not outlive your money. Folks, here's how you can learn more about this subject. Go to Laser Fund, Laser fund.com. Laser is an acronym, again, that stands for Liquid Assets Safely Earning Returns. But in this book, it's 300 pages, charts, graphs, and explanations, and 62 actual client stories. But you see these 4 pillars here. They stand for liquidity, safety, rate of return, and tax benefits. And any investment that you could propose to me, you can go through and analyze on a scale of 1 to 10 if they pass liquidity, safety, rate of return test, and the tax benefits. Most investments only score about 18 to 22 points out of a possible 40. My favorite vehicle, the Laser Fund, scores 35 out of 40. Nothing else comes close. If you want to learn how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement and have liquidity, safety, and earn predictable rates of return tax-free, study this. Go to laserfund.com. There's also options there to listen and learn, watch and learn, and join us for educational webinars, which we hold on a regular basis. So here is to your brighter future.